I've always been someone who enjoys late-night walks. There's something calming about it, the cool air, the quiet streets, the sense of solitude. It helps clear my mind. I've been doing it for years without ever having a problem. But after what happened to me a few months ago, I don't think I'll ever do it again. I live in a suburban area just outside a small town. It's a quiet neighborhood, one of those places where nothing really happens. Families, retirees, the occasional college student like me. The kind of place where people still leave their doors unlocked at night. That night started like any other. It was around 11:30 p.m. I had been studying all day for an exam, and my head was pounding. I needed to get some air, so I put on my hoodie, grabbed my headphones, and headed out for a walk. The first 15 minutes were uneventful. I walked my usual route, down my street, past the elementary school, then through the park that connects to a small wooded trail. It's not a dense forest or anything, just a narrow path with trees on both sides that cuts between two neighborhoods. I've walked it hundreds of times, even at night. But about halfway through the trail, I noticed something off. I usually listen to music, but for some reason, I pulled my headphones down. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the silence that felt too heavy. That's when I realized I could hear footsteps. At first, I thought it was just an echo of my own steps. I tested it. I stopped walking. The footsteps didn't. They were about 20 or 30 feet behind me, slow, steady, deliberate. My heart started racing. I told myself it was probably just someone else walking. Maybe a neighbor, maybe another night owl like me. Nothing to worry about, but I didn't want to turn around and make it obvious that I noticed them. I picked up my pace. So did the footsteps. Not running, but definitely matching me. I glanced back casually, pretending to look at the sky or stretch my neck. There was someone there, about 6 feet tall, wearing dark clothes, a hood over their head. I couldn't make out a face. They were far enough to not be clearly visible, but close enough to know they were following me. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting. People walk. People take shortcuts. It doesn't mean anything. But then, I tested it. There's a fork in the trail that leads either toward the next neighborhood or loops back toward the park. I took the loop back, an unusual choice for me. So did they. At this point, every instinct in me was screaming. This wasn't a coincidence. I started walking faster, nearly a jog now. I didn't want to outright run because part of me still clung to the hope that this was innocent. But when I passed the small bench near the trail entrance and headed toward the more open area of the park, I heard something that turned my blood cold. The sound of running footsteps. Not mine. Theirs. Running. Coming toward me. I bolted. I sprinted toward the neighborhood entrance, my shoes slamming against the pavement. My lungs were burning, but adrenaline kept me going. I didn't dare look back until I reached the end of the trail and crossed into the residential street. When I finally glanced over my shoulder, the figure was gone. Gone. I stood there, panting, trying to process whether I had imagined it. Maybe they ducked into the woods. Maybe they gave up. Or maybe they were still nearby, hiding. I pulled out my phone to call someone, anyone. No signal. That trail always has bad reception. I started walking quickly down the street toward the main road, where there are gas stations and late-night stores. I figured I'd go somewhere public, cool down, then call someone to pick me up. But as I turned the corner onto the next block, I saw something that nearly made me collapse. A dark SUV. Parked. Engine running. Headlights off. As soon as I appeared, the headlights flashed on. I froze for a split second, long enough to see someone in the driver's seat, and another figure in the passenger seat who was unmistakably the same person who had been following me. The passenger door cracked open. I didn't wait. I sprinted across someone's yard, vaulted over a small fence, and cut through backyards. I could hear the SUV's tires screech as it pulled onto the street, trying to circle around. I ducked between two houses, crouched behind a shed, and pulled out my phone again. This time I had 1 bar. Just enough. I called 911. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely speak. The dispatcher kept asking my location, but I was panicking, whispering, "There's someone after me. They're trying to grab me. Please, please. She told me to stay hidden. Officers were already nearby and would be there soon. I heard the SUV pass by slowly, engine idling. A door opened. A man's voice, low sharp, said, "Come on out. We just want to talk." Nope. I stayed completely still, barely breathing. After what felt like an eternity, I saw the red and blue flash of police lights washing over the neighborhood. The SUV sped off. I ran out of my hiding spot toward the nearest officer, nearly collapsing from sheer adrenaline. I explained everything, every detail I could remember. The aftermath was almost as terrifying as the event itself. Police told me this wasn't the first report of suspicious activity in the area. A few nights earlier, a teenage girl had reported a man trying to lure her into a car near the gas station. A week before that, someone had been chased while jogging late at night near the same park. But they never caught them. The SUV had no plates, according to one of the officers who saw it as it sped off. Either stolen or deliberately removed. For weeks, I couldn't sleep. Every time I heard a car pass by my house at night, I would jump out of bed, check the locks, peek through the blinds. I started carrying pepper spray and eventually bought a personal alarm. I replayed it over and over in my head. What if I hadn't noticed the footsteps? What if I froze instead of running? What if they had caught me before the police arrived? The worst part? A few days later, I found something in my mailbox. No stamp, no postmark, meaning it wasn't delivered by the postal service. Someone put it there by hand. It was a small, folded piece of paper with 2 words written in all caps. Nice run. I reported it immediately, but there was nothing the police could do. No cameras caught anything. No fingerprints. Just nothing. I ended up moving back in with my dad for a while, several towns away. I couldn't handle being alone after that. Even now, months later, every time I step outside after dark, I get this tight, nauseating feeling in my stomach. I know they're still out there. Maybe they've moved on to someone else. Maybe they're driving through some other quiet neighborhood right now, waiting for someone to go for a walk. All I can say is, don't let your guard down. Ever. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Trust your instincts. And if you enjoy late night walks, please, just don't.